Booyah!
Hello everybody, I'm here for another TF2 comparison, and today I'm here to talk about the NG wrenches. Honestly, there isn't that many to go through, so this one is slightly easy. There's only 4 that aren't in stock, and my usual rule is I don't cover the stock, because the stock's too easy, because the stock's just like, oh, you hit it with a wrench? Yeah, it builds. You're explaining in the NG if you talk about the wrench, so I can't do that. So, getting straight into it, with that said, onto the list. The first one on the list is the Jag. Now the Jag, I really fucking love the Jag. It got a buff recently to make it actually usable. Beforehand, it was supposed to be like the fast builder, but you had to be careful because you were pretty fragile with it. But even then, back before its buff, it wasn't fast enough to even be considered usable. Now, since the buff, I think it was the gunmetal update, now it's really, really fast. It actually works very, very fast. It's very easy to set up a level 3 sentry at a very fast rate behind enemy lines. For that reason, it is seen as a very offensive wrench. It's seen as a wrench that you use to set up fast and just kill everything in sight as they realize the sentry's there. It's a really effective surprise weapon because it builds so fast that no one would expect a sentry nest in the places you can build a sentry nest. And the speed it takes to set up anything is minimal, so you don't feel like you've lost in it. The plus 15% firing speed and the plus 30% construction speed makes it so that it's a far better weapon in terms of building overall. And for that reason, it's a very offensive weapon. And really, that's when it's mostly used because it's kind of fragile. The next one on the list is the bane of everybody's existence. Before it got a slight debuff, everybody hated it. Everybody hated this weapon for a very, very, very long time. Everybody wanted this weapon dead. Just in the floor, being crunched into the fucking grass. It's the Gunslinger. The Gunslinger works in a way that you don't have sentries anymore. Instead, you have mini sentries that cost 100 metal to build. They build a lot faster than normal sentries, and they're about half as good as a normal level 1. However, that doesn't sound that good. Beforehand, they had the reach of a level 3 sentry, and they had the height of a level 3 sentry. They were able to hold areas and surprise people constantly, and really, it proved one of the most effective offensive NG wrenches ever. It is insanely good if you use it correctly. If you use it wrongly, you'll be just throwing it out in the middle of the field and it'll get shot down immediately. The trick of it is that you use corners and places of advantage to take people by surprise where they won't expect a fucking mini sentry. Another way you can use it is that you can use it to back up your shotgun shells. No one likes the mini sentry because it works so effectively if you use it correctly, and people hate mini sentry users. However, they can't deny how amazing it is in offensive play. The Jag and the Gunslinger are two very, very good offensive wrenches. Personally, I'd waver slightly towards the Gunslinger unless you really like it being attached to your level 3 sentry. The third one on the list is the kind of problem child of the group. It's the Areca effect. The Areca effect is kind of awful. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty terrible. The reload key makes it so that you can teleport back to spawn. Now that sounds like a pretty cool concept. It means you can set up your teleporter without having to go through too much trouble of dying 1 or 2, running all the way back to your spawn. That sounds cool. However, 1, you get 50% less metal from everything, and 2, the construction speed is awful. It's minus 50%. It's the opposite of the Jag. It has no offensive capabilities whatsoever. In fact, it's so bad at building, I actually can't build a sentry nest in the minute and a half you get in the beginning of a payload map. I can't do it. It's too difficult. You don't get enough metal from anything, so even if people suicide for you, you still don't get enough. For that reason, I think it's awful. If it needs a serious buff in terms of how much metal it can take in, and how fast it can construct things. If it was less than 50%, many people would use it. But because it's not, nobody bothers with it because the length of time it takes to build is ridiculous. No one wants to put up with it. Honestly, I'd say avoid this weapon until it gets a buff, or if you really, really want that easy transfer to the teleporter, go ahead. But be warned, it's not as great as you might think it is. Hello? 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 Last but not least, there's my old favourite, the one I used for years before the Jag was buffed, and that's the Southern Hospitality. The Southern Hospitality is great. What it is in its essence is a normal wrench with a minus 20% vulnerability to fire damage, which honestly doesn't affect you that much, really, if you think about it. If you're near a sentry all the time, you won't see pyros all that often, which means that there's no real drawback, and the good part of it is that it makes people bleed. Now this sounds kind of dumb for an NG, however, think about it. Spy checking. For a newer player who's not used to spy checking for spies, this is an amazing weapon. Because from all my hours of TF2, I've kind of figured out that if it's anyone, you bump into them, or they're suspiciously walking towards your sentry or your back or another NG's back, there's like an 80 or 90% chance it's a spy. However, if you're not as akin to those little quirks, it's very, very good to just hit everything with this weapon and wait till somebody bleeds. When somebody bleeds, they're a spy. Instant kill. It's very, very useful when used in a spy situation. And there's no huge drawbacks to it, honestly. I think it's a very, very useful weapon. And you won't even need quick glitch. There's no actual drawback to this weapon. For that reason, I'd recommend this weapon if you're a little bit less able to spy check when you're starting off. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm not the best NG in the world. I'm really not. I just try to give my 2 cents on each NG wrench. Personally, I usually use the Jager or the stock. But apart from that, I have no real major opinion. I have friends who are Highlander mains in NG. I could probably ask them. But apart from that, I have no expertise towards being an NG at all apart from pubs. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you again next time. Bye.